Boy, you're such a boring person, you might say. And I don't blame you, it looks like that way. You're playing a very standard tier 1 deck. HB engineering the future for maximum efficiency in money, biotic labors to score agendas, the old fashioned way, NAPD contract, very nasty to steal, standard defensive agenda, goes well in any deck, Eli, because good eyes, HB, blah blah blah. Probably the only difference between regular food codes and this is that you run restructure instead of Eve campaign and breaker base as economy because there's too much wizard running around. It's just a meta call. Yes, it's a very boring deck. But no. After playing against and with so many horizontal decks, NEH horizontal, IG horizontal, and all the kill decks running around, this was actually refreshing for a change. And to be perfectly honest, it reignited my love for Netrunner. I'm not kidding. If you don't buy it, just watch this game. It's a very standard matchup. Andromeda versus HB. This is pure classics we are talking about here. Keep my opening hand, not just because there are no agendas, but because I can easily defend against any siphons with Architect on HQ, Crisium Grid on HQ, and Archive Memories in hand. So realistically, if his Sentry Breaker solution is Fairy, he can get in once to trash the Crisium Grid, and then I'll recur it, and he can't siphon me anymore. So that's the plan. Unfortunately, he snipes off an early agenda of R&D. Can't be helped. And he shows me that he's playing anti-sucker. Data sucker, Desperado, security testing. That's a very, very good start for him. And makes me really wish that I opened with more ice. Sadly, after blue level clearance, I still don't see my ice. I have more than enough money to res ice. But no ice! What do you want me to do? Well, I'm just gonna sit here, gain more credits, and just hold on to my horses and try to defend against any central assault, HQ assault rather, because I have 2 ABTs here that I rather biotic out. Now, if I top deck a biotic labor here, you bet I'm going to score the ABT. With only 1 ice in the top nearly 10 cards, and ABT right now will be golden. Now, Victor's a good ice on R&D, but he has seen it already. He knows that I'm going to draw into the Victor. So I draw again, and I see a different piece of ice. Now, he has to respect the fact that the ice on R&D could be something other than a Victor. So the lack of predictability is going to help me here. And to gain efficiency, I'm going to use advanced assembly lines to install the Victor on archives on my opponent's turn, giving me a net 3 credits while getting the install down. So it's basically like a modded for your ice. So not bad. With that very good economic start, I'm on 18 credits. Again, this allows me to freely biotic any agendas out. And this completely suffocates the security testing of my opponent. He has no breakers yet. He cannot dream of getting into my centrals. And once you set up this way as HB, you're good to go. Once you have ice on every single server, they can't do anything to you. Now, I still have to be vigilant about HQ protection, because all it takes is a single Mimic install to ruin my day. So I'm going to hyper draw here with Jackson so that I can hopefully see more ice and more money. Discarding up here is very tricky. I want both ice, I want the advanced assembly lines for money, I want hedge fund for money, and I want to keep an ABT because if I draw into a biotech labor, I'm going to score it straight away, trigger it, go trigger happy with it. Alright, he sec tests my archives thinking that he would see an Eli, but nope, it's the Victor that he saw. So that's tricky with only 1 click. Caught him off guard there. Well, too bad for him. He really should have saw that coming, but anyway. He's going to take the 1 brain damage so that he can get the sec testing off, and he's going to play with 4 cards in his hand for the rest of the game. I'm not complaining about that. Speaking of which, shout out to my opponent for playing roller decks. Such hipster. Love it. Okay, he discards a cloak from his hand. So he's playing the Self Suite. That's more information you can get. So far, the game isn't very interesting yet. It's kind of like a Mexican standoff. My opponent is trying to build up his board state, and I'm trying to get something out, the Biotic Labor. So I freely fire it here, and I get an Eli, which immediately goes on HQ, as I explained earlier. Defend against Siphon. This is a very dynamic interaction. Criminal versus HB is always very interesting, because on my side, I have to respect his Siphons, and on his side, he has to respect my nasty Bioroid Ice. And the Architects as well. He cannot run my Centrals. He doesn't want to run my R&D or HQ to poke around, to force me to res ice. That's not going to work in his favor. The moment I res an architect, all his hard work is going to be undone. So, he correctly runs my Jackson here. Unfortunately for him, because he let me get the Jackson for too long, I was able to ABT with the Jackson in play. So that's huge for me. So now I've drawn into more quality eyes. The Tollwolf, and Turing and Eli. So here, I'm going to protect my Jackson Howard. But this is going to look like a bluff. Me trying to sneak out an agenda. So what I'm going to do here is, at the start of his turn, I'm going to install Turing. This and the never advanced shenanigans of engineering the future begin right here. Is it an agenda? I did a double install last turn. One of them was advanced assembly lines. You don't know what the other is. He chooses not to go for it. He comes for my R&D because now he can break the architects. But it's not an architects and Eli. So he gets through, he gets his sec testing money, and all is good. He now knows what's on R&D. But I have no need to defend R&D right now. It's very taxing at 2 credits per pop. I can leave it there for now. 2 credits and 2 suckers, mind you. So he did not fall for my bait, and rightfully so. That's a Jackson Howard. He doesn't have to worry about it. Now that I know he's playing the Stealth Suite, and now that I see the Switchblade with my own 2 eyes, I'm thinking of how best to position my eyes. The Eli on the HQ was kind of a mistake. Because what I want to do with HQ is that since there's an architect at the bottom, I need to stack as many sentries on HQ as I possibly can, and Eli's not a sentry. It's taxing, but it's not a sentry. What I want to do is, if he runs HQ, he has to blow through his entire Ghost Runner in order to get through. That's my goal. So here, I'm probably going to install the advanced assembly lines, maybe? Nope. I'm going to shuffle 3 cards using Jackson. This will look like a play I'm trying to make, an agenda score that I'm trying to make. And I'm going to toss in the advanced assembly lines. So this is my attempt at baiting him to my remote. Knowing that he hasn't found his refractor yet, I hope to force him to bring out his refractor. But instead, he spends 3 clicks his entire turn clicking through the Turing. So this is the power of HB Never Advanced Shenanigans. I gain 3 credits while installing the advanced assembly lines. He loses his entire turn. And because of this, I'm going to take advantage of this scoring window since he's pretty poor and he hasn't found his refractor. He made no progress last turn. I'm going to score my corporate sales team. I can't score it from 0 advancements, but I do have a biotic in hand. So he finds his refractor. I was very afraid that he would go for my remote. He would actually be able to get in since he has a Ghost Runner. But does he try to contest my remote here? Does he? Nope. He goes for the silencer. Thank goodness. So I'm going to score out the corporate sales team now. It cost me a biotic. The worst thing is not the 4 credit cost of paying biotic. I'm going to get 10 credits back from the corporate sales team. The problem is, losing the biotic means that if I draw into a 3-2 agenda, I can't fast advance. I'll need to find another biotic. But given that I'm going to gain more money in the long run, it's probably worth it. So I spent 8 credits to score the corporate sales team. But I'm going to get 10 back. So that's very good. Now, he is going to continue pressuring my HQ, and this is where my foresight of stacking sentries comes into play. With the Ichi running 3rd click, he is forced to spend his silencer credits to get through. I'm just debating right now which of my sentries to rest, because if I res either of the sentries, I cannot res the Christian Grid on HQ. But I think I do not need to res the Christian Grid here. He could play Shutdown, he could play Political Operative. I'm not too concerned about that. So, yeah, actually, it is arguable that I shouldn't have res the Ichi in the first place. That's a possible mistake that I made. But I guess I just wanted to protect against a Siphon coming later. If he decides to Siphon with his last click, that would be a disaster. Alright, a Vitruvius. This is why I really didn't want to use my Biotic, right? Because I could Biotic the Vitruvius, that would put me at 6 points. I need to find another Vitruvius. In the meantime, again, gonna bait him to run my remote. Now, unlike most other criminals, remote running is not very taxing. Turings are all-star eyes against criminals. They have no way to break 5-strength code gates on remotes easily. However, Refractor gets past a lot of those problems. So that's good for my opponent, who probably doesn't find it too difficult to toss an inside job and pay only 2 credits minus 1 stealth to check my remote. At least I forced out the inside job. That's what really matters, because that inside job could have gone on R&D, it could have gone on HQ. So yes, again, a very dynamic back and forth. And once again, I'm going to force him to run my remote again. This time it is an agenda. It is the Project Vitruvius. Does he go for it? See, this is why it's so fun. On the corp side, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna keep tossing stuff in the remote, and as the runner, you're so frustrated because every turn you spend running that remote is a turn not spent siphoning the opponent, locking their R&D, getting security testing money, setting up more ghost runners, drawing cards. Criminals have a utter disastrous problem. They have horrible card draw engine. Unlike Anarch with Wildside that takes away every single turn. As criminal, you want to spend as many free clicks as you can drawing up. So he goes for my remote, sadly. He finds the Vitruvius completely worth it for him. At the cost of 1 Ghost Runner credit. I'm trying to tax the Ghost Runner credits as much as I can. We'll see whether that works out to my favor in the end. Yep, he doesn't need a special order, and I find lots of money. I can hedge fund restructure here, but I want to make use of my ETF money. I should install something here. I definitely should. Yes, I will gain my Engineering the Future credit. It's very tempting to hit the restructure because I'm over the 10 credit mark. But knowing that corporate sales team is slowly but surely ticking down and he has no turntable, I would rather get as much mileage as I can, squeeze every drip of value out of that ID ability. Yeah, it would suck if Employee Strikes played against me. But that's the name of the game, isn't it? So, HQ is pretty secure and I draw into any PD contract. Not going to be very useful this match because my opponent is getting lots of sec testing money. Unfortunately, I can't really keep him off security testing. I can't put sentries on archives because he would simply spend his silencer credits. So that does nothing, that only taxes me. The next thing I can do is to put code gates on my remote, TURING or Toll Booth. TURING is pretty bad because it breaks for 1 credit with Refractor and costs 4 to res. Toll Booth is better, but I'd much rather reserve the Toll Booth for R&D because sooner or later that R&D interface is going to hit the table and you want something more than just 2 Elis to defend it. So as expected, Stealth Andy runs legworks, Stealth Andy runs account siphons. In this case not legwork but HQ interface. I want to tax him for as many stealth credits as possible, and here he's forced to break my architect. So this is a very well constructed server, Ichi architect with an Eli to boot. He accesses 2 cards, including the NFT contract he can't steal. Oh, no, he can. He has Ghost Runner credits. I forgot about that. Dang! Well, that blows open a huge scoring window for me. He's on 0 credits and I top deck the perfect agenda, the NAPD. I'm going to single advance it to tell him it is an NAPD. Don't bother. Or is it? It could be an ABT. It could be a Vitruvius. But worst of all, it could be the game-winning Global Food Initiative. I can't score the Global Food, but I can Biotic Labor, giving me 4 clicks to advance it for the win. That is something he has to respect. He needs to challenge it. He actually does. Unfortunately, I don't see any way he's going to get through that remote. He'll need 3 stealth credits to get through, so short of having an inside job in hand, my triple Turing remote is going to blast the hell out of him. He needs to install Ghost Runner or play an inside job on my remote, otherwise there's no way he's getting in. The other alternative is 3 Data Sucker tokens. I calculated this very clearly. There is no way he's going to find the 4 credits to steal my NAPD, and even if he does, he's not getting to the remote. The best he can do is to run it first click, and click through 1 Turing, and break the other 2 Turings. With Ghost Runner, Cloak, he can't, because he doesn't have enough money. He's starting his turn with 0 credits. He has to make a security testing run on my archives. And he does. But how is he going to get through my archives? He has to click through it and take 1 brain damage. He really wants to challenge my remote. 2 brain damage already. This Victor is doing some work. How is he going to get through my remote? Is he going to top deck his inside job with John Masanori? No! He top decks the Ghost Runner! Does he have enough money? Will he win the game? If he finds my NAPD and steals it, he wins. But does he have enough money to break all my Turings and steal the NAPD? I don't think so. I don't think so. Nope. I don't see that happening. He can't click through any of the TURINGs. He can't. He's not getting through. But he's gonna try anyway. Somehow. I don't know how. But he's gonna try. So he needs to spend 4 credits, 2 of which are stealth credits, to break through the next 2 TURINGs. This leaves him with just 1 credit in his credit pool, plus 1 from the Desperado after the excess. Nope. It is an NAPD. It's not the food. It's not the ABT. I'm going to score the NAPD before he finds his way in again. Not that I think he can get in, but you never know. And now we are even, 6-6. He has no money. That Dirty Laundry is going to save him here. That Dirty Laundry is going to give him a lot of credits. And with those credits, he can start plowing through my R&D. So now it's time to look up R&D. But I myself am pretty poor. I'm going to bait him into running my remote again because I'm HB. I never advance to win. Will he be distracted by the notion of running my remote, or will he go straight for R&D? I can res the Eli on R&D. That would be horribly taxing for him. Although now he's on 12 credits, so that's not really relevant. The situation is tense. He goes for my remote. How is he going to get through with only 2 stealth credits? That's right, he's going to click through one of the TURINGs. He cannot afford to not check the remote because that could be my game-winning agenda. So he spends his entire turn to see an Ash. Good stuff. That buys me a bit of time to play that hedge fund. And here, with 2 restructures in hand, I'm kind of stuck. What do I do for my last click? I don't really feel like installing any of my ice. I find my game-winning agenda. All I need is a biotic label to win. I have enough money to score out. But he has the R&DI. Now I just have to hope my R&D holds, because the Elis are so taxing for criminals. Turns out Eli's still a good piece of ice. He needs to pay 4 credits, 4 real credits to get through, which means he has no money to steal an NAPD. There are only 2 agendas in the deck that he can steal. And he finds it. The ABT. If you look at my R&D right here, you'll notice that I actually have a very good shot of winning. It just so happened that of the 2 agendas that he needed to win, one of them was right there at the top. Any of the 4 cards, Biotic Label, Archive Mem, would have won me the game because I could use an Archive Mem to fetch a Biotic Label and win next turn. He had absolutely no way through my HQ because having used up basically all his Ghost Runner credits, he can click through 1 Ichi, but that's all. And even then, his access is only 2 and 5. That Vitruvius is probably not going to get stolen. So I really think I had a good shot of winning that. It was very, very close. So I hope you agree with me that when there is an ever-changing dynamic during the flow of the game, when both players are in control of their destiny, Netrunner is so much more fun. It's not like a rock, paper, scissors game where you install lots of assets and then say, hey, one of them is an Astro. Which one is it? Or there are no Astros, you know? The likelihood of one asset being an Astro is the same compared to the other asset that you installed in another position. It's playing rock, paper, scissors gets stale very quickly. Whereas with this, there's a lot of factors to take into account. You could say it's a weighted rock, paper, scissors game where you have to take into account the board state and your hand when you decide whether to run that remote. From my opponent's perspective, is the Turing remote too expensive? Are there better options? Could I siphon instead? Could I go R&D digging instead? The multi-dimensional factors that you have to consider when playing remote mind games is a lot more fun than asset spam, say. I mean, I know this sounds like a complete rant of asset spam, but it really is the case that Netrunner is a lot more fun when you're not playing to an inevitable grinding win condition. Or when you're simply playing cards from your hand as you draw them. With this, it's very interesting because do I attempt to lure my opponent into the remote, or do I hold my cards back and wait for the Biotic labels to score out? It's very tricky. And I give myself a lot of avenues to play the Never Advance game. With advanced assembly lines, it does not hog the remote for 4 turns like Adonis does. This gives me a lot of turns where I can install the remote and potentially force a run on that remote. And when I start advancing my cards, they know it's an agenda. But do they get it? What if it's an NAPD and they don't have enough money to steal it? Worse, what if it's a global food that wins me the game? They're forced to run it. But I still win anyway because I'm going to score out with biotic labor while you're busy checking my remote. So that's pretty fun. Uh, this tag has really reignited my love for Netrunner, just like how much I love food. Um, it really is fun when ice is really taxing and the decision to dig R&D isn't as straightforward as get money, get lots of cards, pummel R&D. There's a lot of thought that goes into picking the right server to run, and that's the fun of Netrunner. Thanks for watching and happy net running. Sorry for the rant. Goodbye!